Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to another Night Owl film discussion with me, Brent Simon. It is a new year, 2015 now, and with the new year comes a whole release schedule of new films throughout the year, of course. The AMC Movie Talk crew over the holiday break released their top 10 most anticipated films of 2015 videos. So I decided I would make and release my own top 10 most anticipated films of 2015 video. So, without any further ado, here we go. Before I do jump into the top 10 list, I would like to give a shout out to some films that just didn't quite make the list, but I am very much looking forward to as well. Some honorable mentions, if you will. Those are The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, which is a documentary from John Schnapp of the previous mentioned AMC Movie Talk crew, about the pre-production of the late 1990s Superman film that never was. The film was to star Nicolas Cage as Superman and was going to be directed by Tim Burton, but it never went into production and thus was never made. I am a huge Superman fan, and Tim Burton is my favorite director, and of course I remember hearing about this back when it was announced and then ultimately canceled. So I'm very interested and looking forward to seeing what information this film will and can show me about this failed film project. The film is scheduled for release on May 1st. Next film I have is The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. I didn't quite enjoy Mockingjay Part 1 as much as the previous Hunger Games films because I felt like it was built up to something that ultimately never happened. So that is why Part 2 didn't make it in my top 10. However, I feel that Part 2 will give me what I missed from Part 1 and may become one of my favorite films of the year. I imagine that when watching both films back to back, it will be even better for both parts, complementing each other the way they were designed to be and be the best way to view them. I hope so, that is, and I still am looking forward to Part 2, which is also the conclusion to the film series. The film is scheduled for release on November 20th. Next I have Insidious Chapter 3. I will admit I was a little late to the Insidious train, not seeing the first film until a couple of days before the second film was released into theaters. But I quite enjoyed both of the first two films and look forward to what this new one has in store. James Wan, the director of the first two films, did not return for the third, but I am eager to see how the writer of the franchise, Leah Whannell, does in the director's chair for this third chapter. The film is scheduled for release on June 5th. Next I have Terminator Genisys. I'm a fan of the Terminator franchise, having liked all the previous films, and I liked what I saw in the trailer, so this is definitely a film I look forward to this year. Also, I'm glad that Arnold is back. The film is scheduled for release on July 1st. Next I have The Hateful Eight, the new Quentin Tarantino film. I'll admit I'm not a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino's films. None of them are considered the holy grail of cinema to me, and he's never been high up as one of my favorite directors, though I do enjoy his films for sure and will see every new film that he releases. So I definitely look forward to this film when it's released. The film is scheduled for release on November 13th, according to IMDb. The next film I have is In the Heart of the Sea, the new Ron Howard film. I enjoy Ron Howard films, and I was intrigued by what I saw in the trailer, so I will definitely see this new film. It is scheduled for release on December 11th, though it was originally scheduled for release in March. They pushed it back recently to December 11th. Next I have the Untitled Woody Allen Project. I'm a huge fan of Woody Allen's films, so it's no surprise that a new film of his is one that I look forward to and seek out when it's released. I really know nothing about this film and probably won't until I see a trailer, which is how I usually am fully introduced to a new Woody Allen film. But whenever he releases a new one, I see it. There is currently no release date. The next film I have is the Untitled Cold War spy thriller. It's the new Steven Spielberg film, and it's starring Tom Hanks and written by the Coen brothers. Need I say more? A trifecta of film talent, if you will. I really know little of this film. There isn't even a title yet, and again, probably won't know much more until a trailer is released. But I will see anything Spielberg directs, so this is definitely up there for me in films to look forward to for this year. I do know that the film is scheduled for release on October 16th. Next, I have Knight of Cups, the new Terrence Malick film. After the previously released Malick films, The New World and The Tree of Life, Malick has become one of my favorite directors of all time. I count his films as not just films, but experiences. The trailer for The Tree of Life was one of the most profound and personal experiences I've ever felt while watching a trailer, that I continued watching it over and over again up until the film's release. And when I wasn't watching it, it stayed with me as I pictured the images and heard the music in my head. I now hope for that every time I see a trailer for a new Malick film. The trailer for his last film, To the Wonder, and the one for this new film, Knight of Cups, although they weren't what I experienced with the trailer for The Tree of Life, they were still great and showed that wonderful Malick imagery and perfectly chosen music accompaniment. So with all that said, I very much look forward to anything he releases. There is currently no release date. The next and last film I have in the honorable mentions is Burying the X, the new Joe Dante film. A film much like the just mentioned Malick film that I thought would be released last year, but never was. Dante is the classic director of such films as Gremlins, The Burbs, Explorers, Inner Space, Matinee, and Small Soldiers, but he hasn't released a film in a very long time. So personally, it's nice to see he has one on the horizon again. Though, when will it be released? So far, it's only been released in a few film festivals according to IMDb, but it doesn't have an actual official release date. It doesn't even have a release trailer yet, come to think of it, just a film clip. So I'm not even sure it will come out this year at this point. I guess if we get a trailer, then a release date will be released along with it, or not far behind. We'll just have to wait and see, but I am very much looking forward whenever I get the chance to seeing this new Joe Dante film for sure. Okay, that is it for all the films I wanted to honorably mention. And now let's get to the top 10 list. Number 10, I have Mad Max Fury Road. Originally, this was much lower on my list, but after seeing the trailer and my mind being blown, it became a definite must-see film of the year. Plus, I'm so happy that George Miller is back as director to continue the franchise he started and shape it into something fresh and awe-striking. It will be released on May 15th. Number 9, I have Mission Impossible 5. I've been a pretty big fan of the Mission Impossible film franchise, and after the last film, Ghost Protocol, who wouldn't want to see the next one? My only hesitation is if it's a downgrade in quality, which would cheapen this franchise for me and make me not care for it any longer. I quite enjoyed Jack Reacher, so I hope the director of that, Christopher McQuarrie, who's directing this new film, can maintain a good quality to the film and make it a nice addition to these films. I will know somewhat when we get the first trailer, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. It will be released July 31st. That was another one that changed release days. It was originally supposed to be released on December 25th, but it got actually pushed up to July 31st this year, so that's pretty cool, I think. Number 8, I have Spectre, the new James Bond film. I'm a huge Bond fan, having grown up watching the Roger Moore films, and then later discovering and watching the earlier Sean Connery films, and continuing on, of course, to the current films we have today with Daniel Craig. So there's no question that a new 007 film would be in my top anticipated film list of the year. Plus, the director of the last film, Sam Mendes, is returning to direct. I'm ready. It'll be released November 6th. Next is number 7, and I have Fantastic Four. So when I first heard about this reboot, I wasn't sure what to think. Automatically, you want to compare it to what came before it, right? So you think it will be campy like the 2005 film and its sequel, but you don't want that. Then the cast is announced. Okay, some new fresh faces, but it still could be campy. But we know who's directing too. Josh Trank, who made his directorial debut with 2012's Chronicle, which was a found footage sort of superhero film, and was actually a pretty good film. But you don't want it to be like that either. So what will it be like, I've wondered. I heard this and that along the way, but you don't really know until you see some footage for yourself and get a feel for what its production has in store. Then the trailer is released. From what I saw, I'm excited for the prospects of this new film and the new take on the story. I'm definitely in. This wasn't on my top 10 before. It might not have even been on my top 20, but it's now number 7. This fantastic looking film will be released on August 7th. Number 6, I have Jurassic World. I'm a fan of the Jurassic Park films for sure. Who isn't, right? More specifically, the first one, though, of course, because of that feeling it gave you when you saw it for the first time. I've heard about a 4th film in the works for years now, and never thought it would actually come to fruition, considering the 3rd film wasn't exactly held in huge regard. But I wasn't interested in a 4th if they were planning to do it. So then it was announced, a director was hired, and then the trailer was released. I'm sold. It looks fantastic, and like it will capture that awe the first one had. Plus, raptors running alongside Chris Pratt on a motorcycle. Need I say more? It will be released on June 12th. Number 5, I have Tomorrowland. When I heard this was Brad Bird's next film project, and that George Clooney was attached to star, my interest was piqued for sure. Then the trailer was released. Judging by what little we saw, this film looks fantastic and definitely deserving to be in my top 5 most anticipated films of 2015. This magical new film is scheduled for release on May 22nd. Number 4, I have The Walk, the new Robert Zemeckis film. I'm a huge fan of Zemeckis films, and whatever he is attached to direct, I will see. So it should go without saying that I'm very excited to have another Robert Zemeckis theater experience, and I really like the way they made the teaser trailer. It reminded me of how they used to make teaser trailers in the 80s. This film is scheduled for release on October 2nd. Number 3, I have Ant-Man. Originally, I had this much lower on my list at number 8, but after seeing the teaser trailer, it skyrocketed to number 2 before settling at number 3. I always love a good origin story, so I'm excited to see how the Ant-Man character, who I know very little about at this point, comes to life for the first time in the big screen. I thought the teaser trailer had a good feel, and I love Paul Rudd, so I'm pretty sure this will be one of my favorite films of the year once I get to see it. It's scheduled for release on July 17th. Alright, now I will reveal my top 2 films of the year. At number 2, I have Avengers Age of Ultron. I love the first film, so how could this not be high up on my list, right? Plus, what we saw in the trailers thus far, this one looks much more epic in scope, though really dark too. I can't wait to see how the story will unfold, where it will take us, and what journey these beloved characters will take in this next Avengers chapter. It will be released on May 1st. Alright, and my number 1 most anticipated film of the year is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. A new Star Wars film. Are you kidding me? I never thought in a million years this would happen, and it will be here towards the end of the year, with J.J. Abrams directing, and the original cast are back. John Williams, too. The teaser trailer was exciting, and I very much look forward to the next one to see what else we can get our eyes on before December 18th, the release date, comes around. So, there you have it, my top 10 most anticipated films of 2015. What are your top 10 most anticipated films of 2015? Please let me know. Leave a comment below. I can't wait to read them. That's all I got for you, but I've got a few more videos on the horizon, so look out for those. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, big ears. Ching.